This video only came across to me at last minute by someone I know, and when I looked into the story, I thought instantly of a narrator in mind. And even though he has narrated on the channel, I decided that for this video, I really wanted a close friend to actually read out this one, considering he has a love of boxing and he is also a professional boxer, and that person of course is Finn. Finn is an autistic content creator, but he's also a boxer, and he has competed in the Small Creators boxing matches last year, and I instantly thought that this video would be up his street, and honestly, he's done such a good job with it. Finn, thank you so much. It really means the world to me that you narrated this video, and I could see while I was editing that you were really having fun narrating this. So huge well done and huge thank you very much. And if you would like to check out Finn's YouTube channel, all links will be in the description box down below. And until then, I will leave you in Finn's capable hands as we tell the story of the unknown boxers of the Titanic.
Titanic's Gymnasium Boxers, the story of Bowen and Leslie Williams. When the RMS Titanic left Queenstown in Ireland on the 11th of April 1912, the ship had collected 709 third-class passengers. By the 15th of April, when the Titanic sank, 76% perished. Out of the many third-class passengers, the most fascinating stories, especially in the sports industry, are the ones about the two unknown boxers who were travelling to America to perform their debut in the American boxing ring. However, these men never got a chance to box as they were lost in the sinking. These two men were David John Bowen, nicknamed Day, and Leslie Williams. Bowen and Williams were two Welshmen who were professional boxers and had extreme talent in the sport. Their stories are one of the tragic tales in the Titanic disaster because they were close to becoming household names. These are the stories of the men. Before he entered the boxing ring, Day Bowen worked as a collier in the South Wales coalfield mines. By 1910, he had left and he had begun to box and participated in matches in England and Wales. He performed his last match in Wales on the 5th of March of 1912. Around the same time of the 1911 census, it was noted that Leslie Williams was working as a blacksmith striker. The position of a blacksmith striker is often given to an apprentice, and this required swinging a large sledgehammer in heavy forging operations. There are no further records of whether he was still working as a striker, but by 1912, Williams had participated in a series of boxing matches in Wales and was given a nickname, the Rooster. However, records of the matches he participated in are lost. Both Bowen and Williams were trained by physical training instructor George Cundick, who had experience in boxing while he was serving in the British Army in India. It's through this connection that the two men became friends. At the end of 1911, there was a high demand for new talent in the American boxing market, and promoters were summoned to Wales to observe and hire the best boxers who were capable of competitions in New York City. It isn't clear who chose them, but after examination from promoters, Bowen and Williams were chosen to travel to New York City to participate in American boxing matches. Bowen and Williams were supposed to travel on the RMS Lusitania, which was to depart on the 6th of April, and their ticket was paid for by their manager Frank Torreyson. However, their trip was delayed as Williams ordered a suit, and it wasn't ready in time for their departure. Instead, they decided that when Williams had his suit ready, he and Bowen received one third-class ticket for the RMS Titanic. It's possible that Torreyson paid for this ticket too, but because there was no facilities for them to train, a request was made to allow Bowen and Williams to use the first-class gymnasium. It was agreed for them to use the gymnasium for a supplementary fee as well as their ticket. Excluding the fee, their ticket cost around £16. In today's money, they would have paid over £2,000. The men boarded the Titanic at Southampton on the 10th of April. Just before he left with Williams, Bowen was gifted a travelling bag for his training and when he and Williams reached America. On board the Titanic, the men would often spend their time training in the first-class gymnasium, but when they weren't, they would often spend their free time mixing with third-class passengers. They would have had to follow the rules on board, like being inspected for lice before coming on board in Southampton, eating in third-class dining saloon, and going to bed before 10 PM, as it was the rules for third-class passengers aboard. That didn't bother the men too much, as there was plenty of entertainment on board. In a letter to his mother, dated the 10th of April 1912, while the ship was docked in Cherbourg, Bowen described the Titanic in an enthusiastic tone. "This is a lovely boat. She is like a floating palace. Against you walk from one end of her to the other, you are tired. We are landing in France at the time I am writing to you. You don't know whether she is moving or not, for she is going very steadily. Dear mother, I hope that you won't worry about me. I can tell you that I am a lot better than I thought I would be, for we get plenty of fun on board." It's not known the activity of the men, but it is likely that when they were training at the gymnasium, they would have trained in the same hours that the first class men would have been allowed to come in and use the equipment. Men were allowed to use the gymnasium between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m, meaning that Bowen and Williams would train after having lunch and would return to the third class dining saloon for dinner in the evening. On the 14th of April, the Titanic hit the iceberg before it sank in the Atlantic Ocean in the early morning of the 15th. Sadly, both men were lost. Out of the pair, only Williams' body was recovered, and was identified through the items he was carrying: 2 pocketbooks, 2 gold rings, 1 pair of silver cufflinks, papers, including one that included his home address in Tony Pandy, knife and cash. However, because there wasn't room on board the Mackay Bennett, the ship that collected the bodies of the deceased, Williams' body was buried at sea.